Our Deputy Secretary of Education is here. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction, so we're just so excited to welcome you. Cynthia Cindy Marten was confirmed by the United States as Deputy Secretary on May 11th, 2021. Before that, she was at San Diego Unified School District since 2013 as superintendent and has spent 32 years as an educator, holding various roles of increasing responsibility as a teacher, literacy specialist, vice principal, and principal. She's the author of Word Crafting, Teaching Spelling, Grades K-6, which places an emphasis on literacy as a key to student success. As superintendent, she directed implementation of the district's Vision 2020 commitment to meaningful graduation for all students with the district, achieving the highest graduation rate among big city districts in California and the fastest reading growth of large urban districts nationwide in 2019. As superintendent, in addition to her emphasis on academics, she was a champion for health and wellness, putting in place an award-winning wellness policy for staff and educators, and students rather. And her innovative leadership in this often overlooked aspect of education earned her district national recognition. So like many successful leaders in public service, Deputy Secretary is an educator at her core, having served as a teacher, instruction leader, and principal before leading her district. So I'm pleased to welcome to the stage Deputy Secretary of Education, Cindy Marten, to make an exciting announcement.
So great to be with all of you. My whole goal in life is to have my dress match lanyards when I go to conferences. I'm kidding, that's not really it, but I do kind of like the color theme here. What a great day to be with all of you, and the energy in the room when I was coming up in the elevator, just getting kind of a briefing on how you all are doing, how the space is treating you. Hopefully you flew in from different places, right? You're not all from here. So, I brought the San Diego weather for you today. So I'm but I'm so happy to be here. And where did Ted just go? Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I know my bio can be kind of long, and the most important part of my bio, of course, is that I was a teacher. And my time being a teacher, when people ask me what I do, the long title, Deputy Secretary of Education, is my current role. It's a current job. I'm honored to serve in the Biden-Harris administration alongside Secretary Cardona, but when people meet me on a plane and just don't really know what's on the business card, ask what I do, I say I'm a teacher, because I was a teacher for many, many years and a school principal, and it's a role that's very important. So I appreciate that that's always part of the bio, and the work that I did at Central Elementary in San Diego was 10 years at an inner city school. With 100% poverty, 85% English learners, and every risk factor known to education at that campus. And so I appreciate a warm introduction like that. And I don't know, where did Joe just go? There, thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and I appreciate it. And I also have to say thank you to the entire team that put this together. To the Department of Education staff, Joaquin, our Chief of Staff, Raphael supports, and Mecca. Where did Mecca just go? There's Mecca. Let's give a thank you to the Department of Ed staff as well. And Joe, your invitation was very well received, so we're happy to be here. And if you haven't thanked the tech staff yet, the tech staff back there, let's say thank you to the tech staff back there, camera people. You never get thanked, do you? And when the tech works well, we know that matters, because STEMconnector, if you don't have the tech, you can't connect. So great job for all of that. I do have to say, on behalf of the entire Department of Education and Secretary Cardona, the entire team here, the entire Biden-Harris administration, we want to thank you, because the commitment that you're making, have made to our nation's students and what's coming forward is so important, especially when we think about STEM educators and what they need to be able to deliver on the promises and the commitments that we know matter so much. And because I'm a lifelong educator, it's been my passion, I get really inspired, and I'm also incredibly appreciative when I see hard work like this being put together, and the mission of STEMconnector, Million Women Mentors Network, STEMx, all of that coming together, and what you're doing to enable optimal outcomes, not just a few deliverables, but optimal outcomes for historically underrepresented youth and underserved individuals. You're doing it, and you're doing it right, and we appreciate you for that. What you're doing is you're building bridges across communities, across industry. You're doing the essential work that needs to be done. You're making people come together, you're informing, you're inspiring, and you're connecting people and organizations, and you're doing it with such passion and vested interest so that we can re-envision a growing world-class STEM ecosystem and STEM teaching and learning, and get ourselves and this country ready for a STEM-ready workforce. So it goes without saying that what you do is needed now more than ever. We already needed it, we already knew this was important, but now more than ever. And so for that, just big, giant thank you. I want to take the opportunity also to do this reinforcement. I have to reinforce what President Biden and Secretary Cardona have been elevating for some time, and it's what brings you here today. We're going to reinforce that we, the American people, have a once-in-a-generation opportunity. Right now is the once-in-a-generation opportunity to reimagine education once and for all for every student across our nation. We can provide them with the knowledge and the 21st century skills that they're going to need to be healthy, happy, and contribute their gifts, strengths, talents, abilities, and skills to their communities and to our nation. We know they can do that when we give them the right kinds of supports. And so what we figure out is that equity and excellence go hand in hand, and when we create well-rounded whole child educational experiences for our students, that includes rigorous, relevant, and joyful STEM learning and teaching opportunities for kids. That's happening sometimes. Some schools, some districts, some classrooms, some cities, some states, some kids do get rigorous, relevant, and joyful STEM learning. But not all kids, in all classrooms, in all cities, in all states. It's not for everybody yet. But I put it yet there because we all have growth mindsets, don't we? And it is possible. If it's happening for some days, why isn't it happening for all? And what will it take? How do we do that? And that's what this connection is all about. That's the work that we get to do here. So it's not just some classrooms, some days. It's not without the unrelenting dedication. Scores of teachers out there already doing it. Scores of schools and communities and superintendents and boards and industry and agencies and nonprofits and communities making it happen for teachers and with school leaders. But that impact that's happened has to be acknowledged, lifted up, and celebrated so that we can replicate it and take it to scale for more students in more places, in more classrooms across our country. So we know, I guess if you think way back to the founding of public education in America, we have relied, unfortunately, on islands of excellence and pockets of success. And is that enough? Is that good enough for us? That's been our primary means for cultivating excellent STEM education and talent and cultivating the STEM workforce in these islands of excellence and pockets of success. But what could we do if we did more? What if it wasn't just an island? What if it wasn't just a pocket? And maybe once upon a time, our over-reliance, we had the serendipity of hopefully everything came together and the magic happened for some kids. That was our means for preparing only some students for a meaningful STEM learning and STEM access and STEM careers. If that was sufficient, because we were doing it in some places sometimes, what would happen if we did it everywhere and prepared our workforce for the needs of our democracy, for the needs of our economy? If we know how to do it in some places, let's do it in all places. And what does it actually take? Because it is so true, we need this everywhere. And we take the examples that work. All of our students and we as a people, we are capable of so much more than islands and pockets. We will use those and we will elevate and amplify where it is working so we can spread it and we can make it go further to give more students the access they deserve. And it's a great educational test, I believe, of our time. As we're emerging from COVID pandemic and we're grappling with really profound and often overlapping challenges in education, whether it's historic educator shortages, it's the shortage for students and access to mental health needs, the crisis of the epidemic that leads to more chronic absenteeism, all of these overlapping challenges that are in front of us, they're present today, and we have to face them. It's not the first time this has happened. President Lincoln once said, "The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present." The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so what must we think anew and act anew? We must disenthrall ourselves, and then we shall save our country. That's what President Lincoln said. There is no time more important than where we are right now, with the answers and the solutions that we know are available and readily accessible. That's why I'm here today with an invitation to see what's possible instead of name the impossible. Let's see what's possible. That's why at the Department of Education we want to work with all of you. That's why I'm so happy that have the invitation and the opportunity to speak here today. We want to work with you, with your schools, your organizations, your companies, your communities, to rise to the occasion. And finally, I will say once and for all, deliver on the hope and the promise of education for every community. Equitable access, not just to STEM because it's a nice word to say, but to world-class STEM learning opportunities with evidence-based practices that we know work. STEM teaching and learning so that all students can succeed and excel academically, and they can thrive, not just in school, but in life, no matter who they are, no matter where they are in America. Their demography does not determine their destiny, and we are able to create these conditions. This Department of Education is deeply committed every single day, and will begin taking action to ensure that every single student across our country, from pre-K to higher education, and every STEM educator knows without question, everyone knows without reservation, that we look them in the eye and we say, you belong in STEM. If you're a student, you belong in STEM. You deserve learning spaces that value your perspective and are intentionally designed to reveal your unique potential, your strengths, your gifts, and your abilities so that you can thrive. We say to our students, we know you by name, by strength, and by need, and you belong in STEM. You belong in schools, before and after school programs, community learning settings. You belong in institutions of higher education that provide rigorous, relevant, and joyful STEM learning experiences, and those learning experiences recognize your unique skills and abilities and talents, gifts and strengths that you bring to the learning setting. You belong in places where your abilities help you contribute to STEM innovation, and you are able to inspire and motivate as you persist and graduate the institutions with meaningful credentials and degrees to become part of a STEM workforce and create innovations that have never even been dreamed of before because you're ready to contribute. Our students, we look them in the eye and we say, you belong in STEM. And if you're a STEM educator, you belong in a profession that respects and values you, and it works to grow your career. It works to help you by paying a competitive wage and delivers meaningful STEM professional development for you. Excellent STEM classroom resources are available to you at your fingertips, so you have what you need to teach students and give them hands-on, minds-on learning that matters. As an educator, you deserve the opportunities for professional advancement in your career. You deserve a positive workplace environment and conditions so that you feel supported as you give your students rigorous, well-rounded, whole child, joyful education so every student can experience their best teaching and learning environment to live their best lives. And then if you're a school leader, guess what? You belong in STEM too. If you're a STEM employer, you're a STEM mentor, you're a STEM leader, you also play a significant and important role in creating the conditions that I'm talking about, the conditions that help build a sense of belonging in our students and our educators and in the prospective employees that will hire the students that come from these exquisite classroom experiences. And if you're a parent or you're a caregiver with our students, you too, of course, belong within an education ecosystem that's investing adequately and strategically to ensure that your child has the opportunity not only to build their literacy and their numeracy skills, but to explore and to connect passionately with the rich STEM learning experiences that we create in all of our classrooms from the earliest years, where kids get into tinker spaces and start developing that creative mindset with rigorous academics. In the earliest years, so that college and career opportunities for our youngest learners are something that's not a faraway dream, but a real reality. And its opportunities for tomorrow are available to them today, because we work with our families and caregivers to show the path forward. Over the whole last year at the Department of Education, we've been delving into this concept of belonging. What does that actually mean? Rich academic learning environments that students belong in. And what we've been doing as we delve into this is we've been learning and we've been listening to the field. We've been exploring some really profound implications of the science of learning and development. And as we delve into the science of learning and development for our students, and we figure out what it takes to give all students the opportunity to learn, succeed, and thrive, we see what it takes for educators to be able to do their best work. When we understand the science of learning and development, we understand how belonging plays into richly academic lives. The fact is that for any of our students to actually benefit from excellence in teaching and learning, benefit from the education that we provide to develop the 21st century skills that enable our students to have success and financial independence in America, guess what they need? You already know it, but I have to say it. They must be able to learn within schools and other environments that are filled with a deep sense of safety and belonging that is never questioned. When students have that sense of safety and belonging inside rich, rigorous academic learning lives, all things are possible when it comes to learning outcomes for our students and the contributors that they'll be to our communities. When students know, without a doubt, that they belong, they're seen, and they're valued, then what happens is their full brain power can be directed at the learning that enables them to succeed. That's how it happens. It's quite simple and yet complex at the same time. So if we know it, let's do it. And let's do that together, because when they know they belong in the classroom environments that we create, they will challenge and they will stretch themselves and their thinking to new heights of academic achievement. It happens every time. When students know they belong, they then become the collaborative and communicative innovators that our industries are searching for. This is what industry wants to hire, is an individual that knows their sense of self and place in the world. And the industries want students like this. They want to hire them to meet the economic and technological challenges of our time. Not just having all the skills. Of course we need the skills, but students who belong and know how to create a sense of belonging for themselves and others, where they use their voice and agency and innovation and background and their strengths, skills, and abilities with wisdom and grace. That's the kind of student, that's the kind of young adult that industry is looking to hire. This well-rounded, holistic person who shows up with their whole and complete self to be able to contribute to the career. And when STEM teachers know that they belong, guess what happens? They stay in the profession. They invest time in developing their own knowledge and their craft, and they continue to inspire the next generation of students to reach for their personal best. What we know is that when we create a sense of belonging in STEM, this will help fuel long-term systemic changes that I know we need. That's why today I'm so pleased and honored to announce the launch of our new You Belong in STEM initiative that galvanizes states, schools, districts across the country and all other STEM-connected agencies and groups that want to work in this space with us, organizations, industry coming together. And what we come together to do is simple and yet complex. First of all, to ensure that all students have access to and benefit from rigorous, relevant, and joyful STEM learning. We commit to support our STEM educators by strengthening the opportunities that they need to join and stay in the STEM teaching field. And finally, we encourage education and youth-serving systems to invest the American Rescue Plan dollars and other federal, state, and local funds in STEM education. With You Belong in the STEM initiative, we will work to not only redesign the learning spaces so that students get well-rounded education they deserve and need, but we will also rewrite the long-standing narratives about who belongs in STEM learning and careers. We will rewrite that narrative so that over generations that have been left out, millions of girls, millions of young women, students of color, students living in poverty, Native American and Alaskan Native students, students with disabilities, and so many more other marginalized students that have been left out and received a message other than you belong in STEM. We rewrite the narrative knowing that when we give students opportunities and the learning conditions that matter for them to live their best lives and achieve academically and socially, emotionally, we know they can achieve their unique potential and they can learn and they can thrive. Many of our students are too often subjected, we've seen it, to low expectations, where folks don't see that. They don't see their potential, they don't see what's possible, and subjected to low expectations while their teachers are forced to teach from a place of scarcity with second-rate resources and materials that weren't designed to inspire them or to connect students to their passions. And there have been few pathways from school to careers to the future. They are told in ways that are both implicit and explicit that they expressly do not belong in STEM. Our kids get those messages, implicitly or explicitly, that they don't belong in STEM. They're also getting messages that they don't belong in many other places for that matter. But with our work at the Department of Education and with our You Belong in STEM initiative, I'm here to say those days are over. We don't message that to our students anymore. You can clap for that. They're over. Because when we know better, we can do better. And our students we can look our students in the eyes and we can show them that we will provide for them what we know they need. We give students what they need, when they need it, in the way that they need it, and where they need it. And as President Biden reminds us time and time and time again, there is nothing we can't do when we do it together, because America is about one thing. It's possibility. This is our work to do, and we have a singular opportunity to do what's never been done before as we reimagine STEM education, and that's to ensure every student in this country knows that they belong in STEM. When every student and every STEM educator knows they belong in STEM, I know what will happen. We will move from islands of excellence and pockets of success to once and for all tapping into the brilliance of every student and STEM educator, helping to fuel our national prosperity for generations to come. The research reveals that every brain is learning during every minute of every day. And with that being true, isn't it our responsibility to create the environments that simply reveal the brilliance and unlock the genius of each and every learner? And this is what a sense of belonging can bring to our nation's leaders, to our teachers, and to the entire education ecosystem. And now we have the resources to make this true. President Biden has signed into law historic investments through the America Rescue Plan, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act that combined will power and positively transform our society for decades to come. With You Belong in STEM, the Department of Education, of course in partnership with all of you, we can seize this moment right now, and we can ensure our P-12 higher education is truly able, absolutely once and for all, to prepare our nation's young people for the economy and the industries of today and also tomorrow. We can ensure that we strengthen the conditions for student learning, the STEM educator workforce, so every single student knows that they belong in STEM, and our nation's young people will be ready. They'll be ready to be the innovators of tomorrow and the leaders of the 21st century. Over the next few weeks and months, you'll see the Department of Education will take action. We'll take action to highlight and support so many aspects of STEM teaching and learning that are essential to creating the sense of belonging in these rich, rigorous academic learning environments for all students. We will shine a light, whether it's on STEAM, to STEM career pathways, to innovations in teaching and mathematics and computer science, to the strong connections between STEM and literacy. And then later this year, we're going to gather leaders from across all of the industries, across the education ecosystem, and leading academic and all advocacy groups. We'll gather these minds together later this year, and that will allow us to jumpstart our collaboration, and we can develop strategies that will make the spirit of You Belong in STEM a reality across the country as we galvanize and move forward together. The department will provide guidance and, of course, other technical assistance to elevate STEM teaching and learning that already exists and more that we discover as we walk this path together. We will convene our STEM partners around the most pressing issues regarding the teacher shortages and regarding access to equitable STEM pathways. The department will elevate the bright spots that we see across the country and the evidence-based practices that engender belonging in STEM. We'll partner with private and public entities like yourselves so we can leverage our best efforts. And of course, we will work internally at the department on refining our own STEM efforts so that what we do is of service to the great work that we know is happening and needed for our country. We're excited that we get to shine a bright light on the work that you're all doing. All of that you're doing here to keep the field engaged, keep people interested, and move our work forward, because we can't do it without you. It won't happen without the people in this room. So I wouldn't be a teacher. I'm not passing out gold stars or grading you, but I'm doing the other thing teachers do. I'm leaving you an assignment before I go. I want each of you to think about why and how you and the students and teachers you support and champion You Belong in STEM. And then I want you to find my colleague. There's Chauncey back there, or Patty over here. You guys raised your hands, okay, good. And share your answer with them. Why and how you and the students and teachers you support, why do you belong in STEM? How do our students belong in STEM? How do you belong in STEM? Why do teachers belong in STEM? Share your answers, and we'll share them with some of the Department of Education social media channels after today's event with the hashtag YouBelongInSTEM. And we ask you to do the same on your channels today, tomorrow, the next day, so on, so we can see what it means when we say you belong in STEM. Why? Tell us why. Tell us what you see. Tell us who belongs and why you belong in STEM. So we look forward to the future. We can emerge from this storm loud and confident and committed to truly meet the exquisite potential of our young learners and even adult learners across the country and give them the support that they deserve once and for all. They belong in STEM, and you can help make that a reality and help get them there. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
You may have noticed you've got these post-it notes on the desks, on the tables. This was because we knew that Madam Deputy Secretary was a lifelong educator, and we were pretty sure she was going to give you an assignment. So if you could use these to write out your ideas, that call to action, and then we've also got, as you came in from the elevator, you turned left. If you turn right, there's a white wall there, and you can put the Post-it notes up on the wall. And I think it'd be a great way of sharing the ideas with everybody. So I just wanted to mention that. So, Madam Deputy Secretary, this is our fireside chat.
Yes.
I kind of feel it's been oversold. I don't see a fire. I don't see any hot cocoa. Yeah, no hot cocoa.
Or hot toddy. I don't know. What do you have at a fire these days?
But I want to thank you. I think all of us were very excited with your announcement today. The You Belong in STEM campaign,
Yes.
That sounds fantastic. It's just what we need. And I think it's a continuation of what we've seen from this administration with the focus on STEM in particular, which has been obviously very encouraging for everybody in this room. You are, by your own admission, a lifelong educator, from a teacher to the superintendent of the San Diego Unified School District. And I don't know if you've seen recently, there was a study by KQED where they pointed out that 50% of California teachers are thinking of leaving the profession. And I'm sure that resonates strongly with you on a personal level. And I just wondered your thoughts on this. After the pandemic, everything's changed. What do you think about the future for America's teachers?
I mean, this is near and dear to my heart, and also to the secretaries. And, you know, First Lady's a teacher, too. So we got a teacher in the White House. You have teachers at the Department of Ed. 1 in 3 of us at the Department of Education were educators in the classroom. And that was by design. And so it's a deep passion knowing that there are former educators at the Department of Ed. And so our policy work and the things that we work on are about the teaching profession and being able to address this. And what you just quoted from KQED, and the statistics are very real. There was a problem before the pandemic. It's even more so now. I'm just looking to make sure I get the number right. The average weekly wages of public school teachers has increased just over $29 in the last quarter century. So for us, we are doing our part to put more money back in the hands of teachers. That's our public service loan forgiveness, our improvement to the Teach grants. We're also, like, the investments are there, the best practices need to be there, where we're lifting up where is it actually working for folks? Where can we actually show an increase? I mean, I'm like the #1 cheerleader about why someone should become a teacher, but it can't just be cheerleading alone. That's why the Bipartisan Safer Community Act is also an investment that will help, we believe, keeping people in the profession. That was $2 billion in grants to improve mental health supports for students. And we hear teachers say that it's really hard to teach students who have needs that are beyond the scope of what a teacher knows how to do. So the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act and that investment gives teachers a confidence that there's more support for students that are in need with social, emotional, mental health needs, or increasing mental health support providers in schools. And teachers need to know that there'll be help and there'll be support. And then, of course, the American Rescue Plan helps us raise the bar on how we retain, how we recruit, and how we prepare educators through all these proven models, grow your own programs that we see as being so supportive and helpful. And we're using really great partnerships with multiple agencies. The Secretary had an event with the First Lady about how we're going to address the teacher shortage, and they're using really innovative tools like ZipRecruiter, Indeed, and Handshake to help recruit people into the profession. So the living wage and the investments in teacher pay and salary, the investments in extra supports for teachers in the classroom, plus innovative ways to recruit and grow your own are some of the key strategies that we have to address something that we're all very concerned about.
That's really great to hear. You know, I serve on the board of Da Vinci School District in California, and you know, we could see we're right by Los Angeles. Los Angeles Unified, I think, is the second largest school district in the country.
Yes.
And we could see that about a week or 2 weeks before schools were opening, there were 800 unfilled positions. So you can really appreciate the effort and the things that you're doing, because I think COVID's really changed everything.
It really has.
And I also appreciate your comment that we have a once-in-a-generation opportunity here. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so true. You know, with the change of COVID and with this administration in right now, we really do have an opportunity to achieve things. You've only just mentioned this new campaign, the You Belong in STEM, and the program with that. So I can't really ask you, so how's it going? But I think I can ask you,
Yes.
what are some of your thoughts around what will make that a success?
Well, it's some of what we learned that was most important during the pandemic is the importance of partnership. And when I was superintendent in San Diego, I don't know what you all were doing on March 13, 2020, but I know what I was doing. I was superintendent of the second largest district in the state next to LA, and trying to figure out how to pivot the district to be able to move to online learning, to be able to change what we're doing, pass out Chromebook computers and continuity of food services, continuity of learning services. So what I learned is the importance, I mean, I guess you can't be a successful superintendent if you don't know how to collaborate, but the level and the depth of collaboration across government, city, county, state, federal officials working to deliver educational services to students in conditions that we had never imagined were going to be there. That's what I think the power behind the STEM initiative. You Belong in STEM happens with partnerships that matter, and partnerships with all of you in this room. How do you leverage the partnerships that are already there? How do we get the messaging out? You know, we have kids across the country that do not have access. They might want to go into a STEM career. They might be interested in it. They might have experienced something in a one afternoon after school program, or maybe a visiting teacher came in and did something, but to permanently offer and address learning experiences, hands-on, minds-on learning through even the classroom environments that we build for kindergartners, that happens with big collaborations. School boards need to be on board, industry, business, and there has to be a real job at the end of it. There has to be a real, we can have the great pathways, that pathways that lead to nowhere if there's not a job afterwards. So I think the importance of You Belong means you belong students, industry belongs, teachers belong, the parents belong, and the whole ecosystem gets created because everybody understands their role, and it's a synergy that makes it sing.
No, very much, and I think everybody here is really excited to hear this announcement today. My final question for you today is Million Women Mentors is part of our umbrella. It's one of our movements, and it actually has overachieved on its name because we've seen about 2.5 million mentoring relationships take place as part of that. To really largely to do the success of it is to do with the people actually in this room.
It's awesome.
And we noticed in July that President Biden signed a plan into action to put 250,000, quarter of a million, tutors and mentors into American schools. And I don't know, can you comment a bit about that program and how it's going?
Thanks for giving me a chance to talk about one of my passion projects. It's a national partnership for student success, and in partnership with AmeriCorps and the Johns Hopkins, we're able to commit to, President Biden put it in his call to action in January in his State of the Union address, and asking, we need more caring, involved adults, not less in our schools. You all did it and exceeded it with the million mentor goal that you exceeded, but 250,000 more adults to be able to support our students in schools. I know as a principal of a large inner city school, it was all I could do. My focus was on improving classrooms and giving teachers the support they need, but I knew our kids needed more. But to coordinate 15 different volunteer agencies with volunteer efforts, principals can't do that while they're leading impeccable instruction in the classroom. And so to be able to put supports in place, that community organizations that want to help in schools, that's what this is really about. And we're using the evidence-based practices, and the partnership allows us to give the technical support and assistance to make it easier for the volunteers to come and support our students in schools. And that partnership matters. We can't do it alone.
Very exciting.
Thank you.
Madam Deputy Secretary, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you. It's my honor. Thank you, everybody.